What is up, my people? DMellow here, coming at you with a new video. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different from what I've been releasing here recently. I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks video on how to be better at solo queuing, if it wasn't obvious by the title. Before we get started, I stream every Friday and Saturday on Twitch, so make sure to go check that out. Links in the description below. Also, if you have any other tips or tricks, maybe even more to add on to the ones I have in this video, make sure to leave a comment down below. Let's get into that first tip. Tip number 1. Warm up. Now, I know you've probably heard this in every other tip video that you've seen, but it's super important to warm up. Whether that be in T-Hunt or possibly even using a name trainer like Kovac Game Trainer, I'm not endorsing them. It's just what I use. Warming up is definitely one of the best ways you can improve your game. It's like any sport. Why would you go into a game and not warm up? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. I'm sorry, but when I see the "I'm sorry, this is my first game of the day" excuse in the chat from a dude that's going 0-6 and we're losing, kind of makes me mad. Anyways, why would you play a ranked game if you haven't warmed up? It just doesn't make sense. You can go into a custom game, you can do a T-Hunt, you can do anything just for maybe 5-10 minutes. Get that aim right, because then you're not missing the shots that you should be hitting, getting the kills you should be getting, and then you're not relying on your teammates to pick up the slack, which brings me to my next tip. Do not rely on your teammates. What do I mean by this? I know it sounds a little harsh. Oh, don't trust your teammates. You should trust your teammates. You should rely on them, but it's solo queuing. Don't not pay attention to what they're doing. I mean, whether you're playing with a team or if everyone on your team is solo queued, everyone has their own strategies, even you. So that means you're probably gonna have to drop your strategy, what you usually do, and constantly pay attention to what your teammates are doing. On defense, that means filling in the gaps where they need to be, such as, do you need another roamer if there are no roamers? Are there too many roamers if you are roaming and you need to sit on site? There's so many things that you can be doing and paying attention to your teammates to fill in the gaps and have a better defense. Now on offense, try to spawn where everyone else does, so you're not looking and constantly looking for the outlines of your teammates, figuring out where they're pushing and where you need to go and cut off the enemy defenders. It's so much easier to figure out where they're pushing from if you spawn with them, and then you can flank closer to them instead of coming all the way across the map by yourself. Now that being said, it's especially hard to push with your team if your team is not communicating, which, oddly enough, brings me into my third tip, which that is constantly communicate. If your team isn't talking, they're definitely listening. You need audio to play this game. So why would they not be able to hear you? I mean, some people will hear you and they won't listen. People have their audio on to listen to footsteps, to do all that and yada, yada, yada. I mean, sometimes I know it doesn't look like people do, but they can hear you. Not only will constantly communicating and calling out to your teammates help your team, but if you're newer to the game, it will help you improve and memorize callouts for when people call them out to you. I know if you use callouts, sometimes people still won't listen. They're going to do their own thing. It's part of the solo queue experience. You know what I'm saying? It's aggravating, but it's key to stay calm. Tip number 4, don't get angry at your team. It's okay to be mad at your team. I'm not saying it's not okay to be mad at your team, but don't let that translate into the game. If you start talking shit to your team, they're going to start talking shit back. They might even TK you. And if they start TKing you and they're a full stack and you're one person, you could probably get killed up to 4 times in the whole game. And that's 4 rounds that you're just sitting there. And you can't leave because then you're going to lose elo. And if they're not team killing you, you piss them off enough, they're just going to mute you. And now you can't hear their call outs and what they're saying, and they can't hear what you're saying and your call outs. And then that just leaves a gap. Now your team's in disarray and you're probably going to lose. Tell me one time you've seen a team that you've been playing in disarray that starts team killing each other win a game. I mean, that's free elo for your team. You love when you start seeing the other team kill right off the bat. Tip number 5. This tip is super important. If you take anything away from this video, this would be it. And that is to play the right operators. This one is super important to you and your team performing well. When choosing an operator, especially on offense, it's important to try and let your teammates pick before you to see what they pick and what gaps need to be filled. Don't pick Zofia or Ashe right off the bat and then watch your team pick other Slayer ops and then complain about how there's no hard breach, there's no Thatcher, yada yada. play those support roles. It's probably what you're gonna have to do. In solo queue, you're 9 times out of 10 gonna have to play a support role. On defense, though, you have a little more leeway to choose your operator. I almost always choose Legion, since you can easily have a trap, watch your back, and not have to rely on your teammates to do it for you. Literally choosing Legion eliminates, I think, tip number 2. So that's just a whole thing that you have to check off your list. The only time you really don't have as much leeway on defense and choosing an operator is on sites where you almost always need to have someone bandit tricking. So if you are on a site that needs to be bandit tricked, make sure your teammates pick up bandit before you choose Legion or any other op that you usually play on defense. I've never had an issue personally with having to play bandit. It's only happened to me a couple times. So if you don't play bandit, you probably want to play him. Probably come out with a video on which operators are the best for solo queuing in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you for watching, and once again, if you like what you see, smack that like button and scoot that mouse button right on over the subscribe button. Y'all have a nice day now. You hear?